Hello friends, this is Sakshi Dukare from Government Medical College, Nagpur. I am glad to share my knowledge on anemia. Anemia is a disease which is mostly get unnoticed in many people, especially women. So let's go into detail of anemia. In this video, I am going to talk about what is anemia, how to detect it, categorization of anemia, clinical features of anemic patient, treatment of various anemias, and some of the health tips which will prevent anemias. So let's get started. Anemia is generally considered as low hemoglobin concentration or low hematocrit. But the specific definition of anemia lies here. That is, when the hemoglobin levels goes below 12 gram per 100 ml in females and below 13.5 gram per 100 ml in males. As we all know, hemoglobin is present in the RBCs, also known as erythrocytes, which contains various enzymes, O2, CO2, and also maintain the pH of the blood. In order to know about abnormality, first let's know the normal cycle of RBC. The RBCs are produced in the red bone marrow by the process of erythropoiesis, which is stimulated by various hormones such as erythropoietin, thyroid hormone, and androgens. First of all, the myeloid progenitor cell present in the bone marrow get converted into reticulocytes, which is also known as immature RBC. After 3 days, these reticulocytes are released into the blood vessels. These RBCs then circulate through the body, and after 120 days, these all gather into the spleen and liver. These both are the parts of reticular endothelial system which contains macrophages and leukocytes which destroy the RBC and release lactate dehydrogenase and hemoglobin in the blood. This hemoglobin further gets divided into globin, unconjugated bilirubin, and iron. Some of the hemoglobin remains free and get combined with the heptaglobin present in the plasma. In order to detect anemia, first of all, we have to do full blood count. In that we will estimate decrease of hemoglobin levels and changes in the MCV, that is basically mean corpuscular volume, that is the average size of RBCs in a person. If we have detecting any hemolysis of RBCs, we can also investigate lactate dehydrogenase level, which we will found increased. Globin levels can be also increased. Bilirubin levels are increased, which may symptomize as jaundice. Increased iron levels can be seen. However, the heptaglobin levels are decreased because they bind with the free hemoglobin. Now let's categorize anemia on the basis of size. Once we took the blood, when we see it in microscope, we can find almost 3 types of RBCs. That is microcytic, which is the size of RBC is less than 80 femtoliters, normocytic, where the size of RBC is between 80 to 100 femtoliters, and macrocytic, where the size of RBCs is more than 100 femtoliters. On the basis of their size, they are termed as microcytic anemia, normocytic anemia, macrocytic anemia. So let's focus on microcytic anemia. In microcytic anemia, the investigations which we have to perform are the iron studies and the Menser index, which is used to differentiate between iron deficiency anemia and thalassemia. Basically, this Menser index is RBC upon MCV. So we can find microcytic anemia in iron deficiency, in chronic inflammatory diseases, and thalassemia. When the size of RBC is normal, we have to go towards the investigation of reticulocyte count. When we see there is increase in the reticulocyte count, this shows that the body is compensating for its loss. This occurs in hemolytic anemias and in various blood losses. When there is decreased reticulocyte count, it shows that bone marrow is unable to produce the adequate amount of RBCs. This occurs in bone marrow disorders such as aplastic anemia. So next, let's go to macrocytic anemia. Here we have to perform an investigation of blood film. In this blood film, we can observe the 2 types of blood films. First, megaloblastic and non-megaloblastic. In megaloblastic, we can see large RBCs and multi-segmented, multinucleated neutrophils. This can be seen in vitamin B12 deficiency, folate deficiency, and drug-induced anemia. In non-megaloblastic, we can see only the large RBCs. This occurs in alcohol abuse, hypothyroidism, and pregnancy. Let's now categorize anemia on the basis of mechanisms. So, first of all, there can be decreased erythropoiesis, that is, decreased production of RBCs. This can occur due to bone marrow disorders such as aplastic anemia, chronic kidney disease or kidney failure where there is decrease in erythropoietin, and as I have told, this is necessary to stimulate erythropoiesis, hypothyroidism as thyroid hormone is needed to stimulate erythropoiesis, vitamin B12 deficiency, iron deficiency as this both the nutrients are required to produce good RBCs. Chronic inflammatory diseases not only stimulate iron deficiency anemia but also decrease the lifespan of RBCs. The second mechanism are due to blood loss. This blood loss may be due to the heavy menses or there can be any trauma or accidents which may lead to heavy blood loss. The third mechanism can be increased destruction as the hemolysis can be occur in intravascular or extravascular hemolysis. So extravascular hemolysis mainly typically occurs due to reticuloendothelial system, that is by spleen. So the examples can be hypersplenism, inherited hemolytic anemias such as sickle cell anemia or hereditary spherocytosis, and acquired hemolytic anemias such as malaria. And intravascular hemolysis occurs mainly due to disseminated intravascular coagulation, uh, thrombotic thrombocytopenic purpura, hemolytic uremic syndrome, and mechanical heart valve. So now let's see how the patient of anemia present to us. So these are the symptoms in an anemic patient. Firstly, we will see conjunctival pallor, and if we are thinking of any hemolysis, there will be scleral icterus. There can be chest pain in the heart or irregular heartbeats. The skin may appear pale, and if you are thinking of any hemolysis or bone marrow disease, there will be definitely hepatosplenomegaly where the spleen may become palpable. And next, the patient may have a very early fatigue, dizziness, and if you are thinking of any malignancy, then there will be lymphadenopathies. The bone marrow disorders may symptomize as bony tendernesses such as in sternum, and the patient may suffer from dyspnea. Now let's see the treatment of anemias. First of all, we will see the treatment of iron deficiency anemia because this is the most commonly found anemia. Whenever we see a patient of anemia, we have to first start oral iron in the form of ferrous fumarate, ferrous gluconate, ferrous sulfate for at least 1 week. After that, we have to do blood checkup and see the reticulocyte count. If the reticulocyte count increases in the patient, then we will confirm it as iron deficiency anemia and continue that oral iron tablets for at least 6 months because it takes almost 2 to 3 months to for hemoglobin to normalize and almost 6 months to normalize all the stores of the body. If there is no reticulocytosis, then we have to check for iron profile. In that we will check serum ferritin. If there is decrease in the serum ferritin level, we will confirm it that it is an iron deficiency anemia, but it is due to malabsorption. The treatment here is injectable ions in the form of iron dextran, which is given IV or IM. If there is increase in the serum ferritin, it can be confirmed as anemia due to chronic diseases or sideroblastic anemia. Next we will see megaloblastic anemia, as megaloblastic anemia can be caused due to B12 deficiency or folic acid deficiency. So in B12 deficiency we will give injectable vitamin B12, and in folic acid deficiency we will give oral folate plus vitamin B12. In sickle cell anemia, the treatment starts with hydroxyurea, which increases the fetal hemoglobin, which inhibits sickling. Along with hydroxyurea, we have to give folic acid and intermittent blood transfusions also for better results. Fourth one is beta thalassemia. The treatment is intermittent blood transfusion. Aplastic anemia has only one treatment, that is bone marrow transplant. Hereditary spherocytosis has surgical treatment of splenectomy. Anemia of chronic disease is treated by treating the chronic disease. Next, here we have health tips for you. So first health tip is eat green and leafy vegetables. Eat and drink vitamin C rich foods because it helps in more absorption of iron. We can also include various dry fruits such as apricots, raisins and dates in our diet, and also dairy products. We should always avoid drinking tea or coffee with our meals because this tea or coffee affects our iron absorption. I hope you enjoy this video on overview of anemia. If you found this video informative, please click the like button and share your views in the comment box. Stay safe, stay happy and keep learning.